Alexander the Great, starting with the man who conquered the known world. Babylon, June 323 BC. Alexander is 32. He has just conquered Persia, Egypt, and half of Asia. At a banquet, he drinks an enormous cup of wine. It's dedicated to Heracles. He drains it twice. That night, a sharp pain hits his back. A fever follows. It doesn't break. Day 2. He's carried to his bed. Day 4. He can still give orders. Day 6. He stops speaking. His soldiers demand to see him for themselves. Thousands file past his bed in complete silence. He can only move his eyes to acknowledge them. On day 12, his generals ask who inherits the empire. He whispers one word, kratistoi, to the strongest. Then he dies. Here's where it gets strange. His body doesn't decompose, not for 6 days. In Babylon's summer heat, that should be impossible. Ancient writers called it a miracle from the gods. Modern doctors have proposed a much darker theory. In 2018, a researcher suggested something chilling. Alexander may not have actually been dead yet. A rare form of paralysis can freeze the body completely. It can trap a fully conscious mind inside a still body. He may have heard his own funeral being planned. That's one theory. Poison is the other. Ancient sources blamed a plant called hellebore. It causes stomach pain and a creeping paralysis. Suspects included his general Antipater and his son Cassander. Cassander later became king of Macedon himself. Malaria and typhoid fever are also on the suspect list. Plutarch even mentioned ravens dropping dead near the palace. That detail matches outbreaks of West Nile virus in birds. No test today can settle which theory is correct. His actual tomb in Alexandria has been lost for centuries. Genghis Khan, 1227. Genghis Khan is 65 and still at war. He's fighting the Western Xia kingdom in northern China. Months earlier, he had been hunting wild horses. He fell from his horse and was badly hurt. His officers begged him to turn back and rest. He refused. The campaign continued anyway. By August, his condition had grown much worse. The exact illness was never clearly recorded. Marco Polo later told a very different story. He claimed an arrow had struck Genghis Khan's knee. The wound, Polo said, never fully healed. Years of hard riding may have reopened it. Persian historian Rashid al-Din blamed a fever instead. That fever fits a very different Mongol legend entirely. During the campaign, a Tangut princess was brought to him. Her name in legend was Gerbelchin. The story says she hid a small blade. On their wedding night, she reportedly attacked him. Some versions of the story say she killed him outright. Other versions say she only wounded him and fled. She reportedly drowned herself in the Yellow River afterward. Most Mongolian historians reject this story today. They call it folklore, not fact. Whatever the true cause, Genghis Khan died in August 1227. What happened next is where things get truly strange. His body was carried back toward Mongolia in total secrecy. Legend says the procession killed everyone they passed along the way. Travelers, herders, anyone who might talk about it. This kept the exact burial route completely secret. Once he was buried, the guards were reportedly killed too. Then, according to legend, those killers were killed as well. No one left alive knew the exact location anymore. Some accounts say horses trampled the ground to hide it. Others say a river was diverted directly over the grave. The most likely site is Burkhan Khaldun, a sacred mountain. Mongolia has kept the surrounding area protected for centuries. Satellite surveys have searched for the tomb and found nothing. 800 years later, Genghis Khan's grave is still unknown. Attila the Hun, 453 AD. Attila the Hun is marrying again. His new bride is a young woman named Ildiko. Attila is already the most feared man in Europe. He spent decades raiding deep into Roman territory. That night, he drinks heavily at the celebration. By custom, he retires early with his new bride. The rest of the camp keeps celebrating without him. The next morning, no one hears a sound from him. His guards wait outside, growing more nervous by the minute. Eventually, they break down the door. Attila is dead. Ildiko is found weeping beside him. There's no visible wound anywhere on his body. But there is blood. A lot of it. The official story is a severe nosebleed. He'd been drinking heavily and fell asleep on his back. The blood pooled in his throat instead of draining out. He choked quietly in his sleep and never woke up. Modern doctors say this fits chronic alcohol damage. Years of heavy drinking can weaken the vessels there. One burst vessel, and it's over within minutes. but Roman writers told a very different version. They claimed Ildiko had killed him herself. Some claimed she was working for the Eastern Roman Empire. Emperor Marcian had every reason to want Attila dead. Attila had been extorting Rome for gold for years. Historian Priscus wrote that Marcian had a strange vision. In the dream, Attila's bow snapped cleanly in two. Marcian reportedly saw this the same night Attila died. Ancient writers took that as a sign from the gods. No solid evidence directly links Ildiko to any plot. Her fate after that night was never recorded at all. Attila's funeral followed strange rituals of its own. His coffin was nested inside gold, silver, and iron. The men who buried him were reportedly killed afterward. Like Genghis Khan centuries later, his grave was never found. Richard the Lionheart. March 1199. Richard the Lionheart is besieging a small castle. It's called Chalus-Chabrol in central France. The fight is over buried treasure, supposedly found nearby. Richard demands a share. The local viscount refuses. So Richard lays siege to the castle himself. One evening, he rides out to inspect the walls. He isn't wearing his full armor that night. A single defender is still firing from the ramparts. Richard actually applauds the man's persistence. Then a bolt strikes him in the shoulder. At first, it doesn't seem like a serious wound. He tries to pull it out himself and it snaps. A surgeon is called in to remove what's left. The extraction is clumsy and cuts deeper into the tissue. Within days, the edges of the wound turn black. Gangrene has set in. There is no real treatment for it in 1199. Richard knows he's dying within just a few days. He asks for the crossbowman to be brought before him. The man is identified as Pierre Basile. Richard asks him directly why he fired that shot. Basile says Richard had killed his father and brothers. He fired to avenge them, he says, not for money. Richard, surprisingly, forgives him on the spot. He orders the man freed and given 100 shillings. Richard dies on April 6, 1199, at 41. Here's the part the history books often leave out. Richard's mercenary captain was a man named Mercader. He didn't share his king's forgiveness at all. After Richard's death, Mercader had Basile seized again. Basile was flayed alive, then hanged. Richard's dying wish had been completely ignored. Richard's body was buried in 3 separate places. His heart went to Rouen. His organs stayed in Chalus. His body rests at Fontevraud Abbey beside his father. Harold Hardrada, September 1066. Harold Hardrada lands in northern England. He's the king of Norway and a legendary warrior. Years earlier, he served as an elite guard in Constantinople. Now he wants the English throne for himself. He's allied with Tostig, brother of the current English king. On September 20th, they win a battle near Fulford. The invasion is going exactly according to plan. 5 days later, they meet local leaders to collect hostages. It's a hot day. So many leave their armor behind. They have no idea what's marching toward them. King Harold Godwinson has marched his army 185 miles. He did it in just 4 days. The Norwegians are caught completely by surprise. Many don't have time to put their armor back on. One lone Norwegian holds the bridge by himself. He kills dozens of English soldiers single-handedly. No one can get past him on the narrow crossing. Eventually, an English soldier floats underneath in a barrel. He spears the axeman upward through the gaps in the wood. The bridge finally falls, and the battle turns brutal. Harold Hardrada fights in the thick of it without armor. An arrow finds his throat in the chaos. He falls, and the Norwegian line begins to break. Tostig is killed later in the very same battle. It becomes one of the most decisive battles in English history. But King Harold barely has time to celebrate. 19 days later, William of Normandy invades from the south. Harold's army is still exhausted from Stamford Bridge. At Hastings, that exhaustion may have cost him everything. Harold Hardrada's death in the north helped decide England's future. Spartacus. 73 BC. Spartacus is a gladiator trained to die for entertainment. He's held at a school in Capua, southern Italy. With about 70 others, he breaks out. They grab kitchen knives and fight their way to freedom. Rome doesn't take the escape seriously at first. That's a massive mistake. Thousands of enslaved people join Spartacus within months. His army grows to tens of thousands of fighters. He defeats one Roman army after another. For 2 years, Rome simply cannot stop him. Historians still don't fully agree on what his plan was. Some sources say he wanted to cross the Alps and go home. Others say he wanted to march on Rome itself. Whatever the plan was, it eventually fell apart. Rome finally sends its wealthiest general, Crassus, to end it. Crassus commands 8 legions, roughly 40,000 men. He corners Spartacus's army in Lucania in the south. Spartacus tries to negotiate passage across to Sicily. The pirates take his money and simply vanish. Crassus builds a fortified wall to trap them completely. Spartacus's forces break through it in a desperate night attack, but Roman reinforcements are closing in from every direction. In the spring of 71 BC, the final battle begins. Before it starts, Spartacus kills his own horse. He tells his men victory means he won't need it, defeat means he won't need it either. According to Appian, he tries to reach Crassus personally. He kills 2 centurions who stand in his way. He never reaches Crassus, he's surrounded and cut down. Here's the strange part. His body is never identified. Ancient writers simply say he vanished among the dead. No tomb, no grave, no confirmed remains, ever. 6,000 surviving rebels are crucified along the Appian Way. The bodies are left there for over a year. It's Rome's warning to anyone who dreams of rebellion.